Hello everyone, I'm Debbie from Wani and I have with me Marko Tervonen, guitarist of one of the finest death metal bands of the modern day, The Crown. Welcome to Wani, Marko. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm good, Marko. Thank you. So, The Crown is all set to release the new album, Death Is Not Dead, in January 2015 and we are very excited about the album. Please tell us about the songwriting for this album. Is it like a narrative based on an idea, or did you begin with riffs, or what is it?
For me, if you step back a bit and compare to the previous album we did, the Doomsday King album, there's a huge difference. Doomsday King was originally not planned to be a Crown album. Magnus wrote a bunch, 10, 11 songs, and we were supposed to sort of release it under the name Doberman as a new thrash project. But during the time, a lot of Crown members got involved, and in the end, it sort of became a Crown album. So if you compare that to the Death Is Not Dead, which was intentionally made to be a Crown album, where we sort of worked in the sense that we have always done before, that me and Magnus takes care 50% of the music and sort of work together for the songs. So that's where it became very different compared to Doomsday King. But for me, it's an album where I feel very comfortable that we have sort of worked in the sense that we usually did with the Crown. So for me, that was a bit more of a Crown album than Doomsday King does.
All right. Ever since the inception of your band, you have released some masterpieces when it comes to, modern death metal. Like you have explored various dimensions in your previous records. So I want to ask you, are there any new areas which you have explored in this new album which you hadn't tried out before?
Yes, I believe we do try to do that on every album. It does sort of end up in the sort of Crown sphere in a way, but we definitely try always to push some bits and parts forward all the time. And for this album, there's a couple of ideas that we never tried before, and also like instrumental-wise, there's this song called Medusend that I think turned out pretty cool, where we also included very strange instruments like a key fiddle that is more known from like the Nordic folklore kind of music. And we do try to push ourselves forward because ever since the beginning, maybe it's not so obvious for the listener, but for us, we really try to do something unique for every album, that we feel that it is something new and something fresh. But of course, when everything goes through our filters, it becomes the Crown. But I believe we are doing something that you can feel that we're not repeating ourselves, and that is, I would hate to go there where we feel that we are repeating ourselves.
Awesome. So your band has definitely had a very notable impact on, modern day metal, not only with your musicality, but also with records, which, they appear to be very strong when it comes to a theme. Now, is the new album based on any concept as such, or is it just purely musical?
Yeah, it's not a concept album. Actually, I've tried to sort of ask the band for the last couple of years that we should make a sort of concept album or something, but that never happened. I tried to approach that for like 10 years, but obviously you need to have a really kick-ass idea, because there's a very thin line you walk there. It can be totally cheesy when you sort of try to overdo it. But I would definitely love to do one a concept album, but no, it didn't happen this time either. So it's this album is my best explanation is that it's a familiar world to the people that are familiar with the Crown. It's tracks, and in a way we try to bind them together into something where we feel that it is an album. So yeah, that's how close, as close we can get to a close.
Mm-hmm. Please tell us about the recording experience which you have had while recording this album, or any challenges which you might have faced in the process.
Well, there's one major challenge that happened was that it was actually a couple of months before we originally tried to record the album, and our drummer Jan actually got an offer from Apple in the US to go and work for them as an acoustical engineer. Because he works a lot with electronics, and he's basically a brainiac. He's really cool. So he got an offer to move to San Francisco and start working for Apple. So and that was something we always supported. Of course, you need to do it, man. Go there, have this 2-year contract, and do whatever, because that will help you for the rest of your life when you have worked a couple of years for Apple. But unfortunately for the band, we were in a situation that, what the hell, we didn't have a drummer. So that was like a couple of months before we were about to hit the rec button. So we were facing a huge challenge that, what the hell should we do? Should we call in a sort of a hired gun, a drummer that will do the drums, or what the hell should we do? And it was during when we were in tour in Japan, Jan came to me and said, man, you should do the drums on the next album. And first of all, I was like, what are you, insane? All I thought about it, I mean, I've been playing drums for basically all my life, but I never played this super technical death metal kind of drums before. But the more I thought about it, it felt kind of right. That, all right, fuck, I will do the drums. And we don't need to get outside people involved, and we can keep it in the family and create the sound and keep the sound had. So actually, I am playing the drums on the new album, and I had a huge couple of months session. I just sat with the drum kit and just tried to get this technical speed going on. So that was a huge challenge. So in the end, I turned up, writing 50% of the music, producing it, playing guitar, and playing the drums. So yeah, you could call that a challenge.
That's great, Marko. The Crown's music is often based on, strong lyrical themes like death, rebellion, and, other such ideas. Now, are there any ideologies or experiences which you wish to communicate through the new album?
Yeah, in many ways, I believe it's still true to the sort of core feeling to what people are familiar with when they get into our music. And I mean, in the very, very past, it has been very like anti-religious and stuff like that. But in the end, what it kind of comes down to is it's a sort of self-aware sort of think for yourself attitude, and be proud of yourself and go forward, go against them all, and that is something that is always present in our lyric. And we can write sort of all subjects, and what we have done during the years. I mean, there's been some super brutal death metal lyrics and some fucking rock and roll, oh yeah lyrics, But in a way, I do feel that there is something binding there that creates our style. And it's like I said before, I think for the common listener, there's a sort of common ground there that they're familiar with. But the sense, I believe, is in a way that there's a sort of individualism feel and approach and belief there, that believe in yourself and fuck the rest,
All right. So, are there any specific influences, musical influences, which you have drawn into this album, which set it apart from other kinds of customary melodic death metal?
From my point of view, I must admit that I'm a bit boring person because I don't listen that much to new music. I can listen to a lot of bands, and I do listen. I get in touch with a lot of new music because I also produce a lot of other bands, so they kind of introduce me to music. But to be honest, I don't like new music.
All
They
right.
stay true to a lot of the good old, Morbid Angel, Metallica, Paradise Lost, and I mean those sort of bands that I've always admired, and I believe those bands have built that sort of cortex in me that creates my sort of filter. But so it's really hard to say when people ask that, oh, for that and that song, what were you thinking of? Because for me, I've been writing music for so long time, and luckily for the last 5-10 years, I don't really think about other music when I write and compose music. I sit down and bring out the good old guitar and create something. So it's really hard point where everything comes from. Yeah, the core is the good old Morbid Angel, Paradise Lost, Metallica vibe.
Mm-hmm. So, 25 years is a long, long time. Now, since the inception of the band, you have come this really long way, even in the face of so many difficulties like lineup changes and other such things. Now, how has the sound of the band evolved across all these years?
In a way, it evolves just by the years, But it's for us, that's a really sort of interesting thing when you think about it, because I mean we were away for a number of years, but the moment we get together, it's like we're fucking 15 again. That's, I mean, for us it's pretty magical because I mean the only thing we talk about is beer and women. It's fucking 15-year-old mental state where we end up in, and that's basically where we want to be when we sort of create music and when we have this whole band thing going on. So I don't know if I'm sure it evolves in many ways, but in many ways it also becomes that sort of teenage state of mind as soon as we get together. So it's
So,
difficult to analyze exactly what it is.
well, Marco, so after the first full-length album released by The Crown, you delivered albums at really short intervals. Whereas, after the band reformed around 2009, I guess, you guys seem to be proceeding rather slow and steady. Why is it so?
To be honest, I wish we could release an album every other year or every year, because it's not the thing that we don't have songs, because we continuously write songs and we have a lot of material. It's actually the boring fact that it becomes a bit difficult for us to get together. Right now we are trying to sort of rehearse 2 times a week, and that is basically a fucking miracle, because that has been impossible for many years to get all of us together in the same room. Not that we live that very far from each other, maybe a 1-hour drive, but it just becomes a bit difficult with all the work and families and all the other agendas. But when we do get together, it instantly becomes something creative, and there's a lot of shit happening when we do get together. So it's just it's a good old boring. It's a bit difficult when you're grown up, I mean, so it just becomes a bit difficult to get together and sort of have an agenda and go forward. So as I said, lack of songs, that's not the issue, but it's just reality.
Mhm. All right. So, what are your plans now after the new album? Do you have any tours or anything like that planned?
Yeah, we have some shows. We're gonna do in basically our hometown, Gothenburg. We're gonna do the release show, 2 days before the release, and then in March we're going on this Swedish sort of a heavy metal boat trip with Zach Wild with his band, what's it called, Black Label Society, and in May to Japan to do a couple of shows. And in the summer, we're focusing on some festivals for the Hellfest in France. That's going to be amazing. There's like 110,000 people attending there. It's insane. So we're right now actually negotiating about a couple of more festivals. But in the state Crown is today, we are not focusing on any longer tours. Okay. We're going to do very selective shows. And really sort of try to make best wedding shows that we can do, but be very selective. So a couple of shows in Europe. I hope to do a couple of shows in the States, Japan.
Is there any possibility of seeing you in India for a tour?
To be honest, the state of mind we're in right now is that we love to go to places we've never been to. That's why we visited Japan 2 years ago. That was amazing. We had some discussion about Australia, New Zealand, because we've never been there. And honest to God, if some India were coming, I swear to God, because that would be amazing. We've never been there.
Awesome. So in a certain interview which I read before, you had said that, the Crown was always the underdog. Also, according to my observation, there are a lot of people who have not yet discovered your music. Now, to what extent do you believe in commercialization of your music in order to, ensure the progress of the band?
For us, I don't believe that we will ever bend, backwards or do out of our own agenda just to become more popular. I mean, one of the things that has sort of kept us underdog, or, I mean, a lot of people say, oh, you're the world's best kept secret. I mean, nobody has heard you, but the people that deal with your albums, they seem to love you. And that is true. I mean, we have super loyal fans around the world. But in many ways, we are so far from the sort of big known bands. We always tend to be the sort of underground, good band or whatever. But actually, I'm fine with that. I don't have an issue with it. Would I like to do bigger shows? Of course I would. That would be amazing. But I am not to sort of bend my ways just to please certain sort of forums or press or whatever, or certain people. That I believe that people respecting us, it is that we have always been very genuine. Yes, we are doing the shit the way we want to do it, and if you don't like it, get the fuck off and don't fucking bother. But if you do appreciate us, please join on, and we will meet you at a show somewhere. That's basically our declaration of war.
Awesome. So one last question to you, Marko. For all your fans who are eagerly waiting for this new album, please define Death Is Not Dead in one line.
The album you wanted to hear after Death Race King. That is my conclusion. That is the vibe I'm getting, actually, when I'm listening myself to it. It has that good feeling of the variety of the songs. It has the energy, sincerity. And so, absolutely, without fucking hyping I would say this is the album you wanted to hear after Death Race King.
Thank you so much, Marko, for your time. We are very excited about the new album, and I wish you all the very best for the release.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.